Pedro Acosta has spent this season being sold to you as the future of MotoGP. This week, his words landed. Something a rising star is not supposed to say out loud. Not that the bike was wrong. Not that KTM had failed him. He said he has no friends in this paddock. That he has felt that way from the day he walked in, and that he is happy about it. He said it in the same interview that covered his move into the factory Ducati garage next to Marc Marquez. So why let that sentence out now? And which of the two men inside that box was it really aimed at? Understand what is actually being signed here. From 2027, Acosta and Marc Marquez share one factory Ducati garage for 2 seasons on the same machinery at the start of the 850cc era. Everything resets. No incumbent advantage, no years of data carried over from a bike that will not exist anymore. Francesco Bagnaia is out of that garage. KTM have already moved on, lining up Alex Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio for the seats Acosta and Brad Binder leave behind. The safety net is cut at both ends. There is no route back to Austria, and by his own account, Marc knows everyone in that garage. And into that gap, Acosta drops a line about feeling nothing for anybody. Most people stopped at the first half of what he said. No friends. Lonely kid, brutal sport, move on. That is not the sentence, because the sentence has a second half, and the second half is where the story actually lives. Start with what he did not say. He never claimed the paddock shut him out. He said the opposite, that in MotoGP having a conversation with almost any rider is easy, that a relationship is easy to build. So this is not a boy who cannot make friends. This is a rider who has worked out that friendship is a cost, and who said he prefers to take a step back and have no relationship at all. And the timing is the part that should make Ducati uncomfortable. All of this landed days before the Aragon weekend, while he still wore KTM colours, still drawing a salary from a manufacturer he has already publicly written off. Riders do not usually spend their last months somewhere sharpening a knife in front of the press, unless the knife was never meant for the people they are leaving. Because he did not stop at the isolation, he explained exactly what it pays him. But I'm happy because like this, I can have no feelings with no one. Listen to what that is. It is not a complaint, it is a benefit. He engineered the isolation on purpose, and the return it generates is the part nobody put in a headline. Then he named the return out loud. I don't really care who I try to overtake or in what way I try to overtake. That is not a personality trait, that is a clause. A clause is worthless in the abstract and only becomes real when there is a specific person standing on the other side of it, and in about 3 months there will be. And he was not asked about Marc Marquez when he said any of it. He was asked if he is the black sheep of this paddock, and to answer it, he reached into history and pulled out old rivalries by name. Remember Sate with Valentino, or Criville with Duhan? It was not an easy relationship. He is not mourning those wars, he is prescribing them. And he added that the spice they created is what the sport is missing now. And, oh yeah, there is a detail buried inside that pair of examples that nobody flagged, and it quietly rewrites the whole sentence. Those two feuds were not the same shape. Valentino Rossi and Sete Gibernau fought across the pit lane. Different teams, different machinery, a war that could only ever be settled on track. Alex Criville and Mick Doohan did not have that luxury. They were teammates at Repsol Honda, one garage, identical bikes, the same wall between them. Criville arrived in 1994 and spent 5 seasons as the number 2 to a man who took every title on offer. He never beat Doohan over a season. He became world champion in 1999, the year Doohan's body finally broke at Jerez. So of the 2 rivalries Acosta chose to name, one was fought across a paddock and one inside a single box. And the one inside the box only ended when a career did. Now look at where he is going next year. He had also aimed at his future teammate in the very same interview. Asked about the pairing, Acosta described the reigning champion he is joining with a line that sounded generous, and was not. Marc is at the end of his career. I'm just in the beginning of mine. That is a countdown, delivered with a smile. And it tells you he has already done the arithmetic. He does not have to beat Marc Marquez every Sunday. He only has to still be standing when Marc is not. Because this is a pattern, not a mood, and there is already a full-scale test of it in plain sight. Look at how Acosta handled the last relationship that was supposed to be unbreakable. KTM built him, funded him, carried him to the Moto3 title, then the Moto2 title, then handed him a MotoGP seat before he turned 20. 6 years inside that structure. Loyalty like that is supposed to buy patience, or at least a soft landing on the way out. It bought neither. The moment the equipment stopped matching the ambition, Acosta went public with the coldest exit line of the season, saying flatly that he had no more time to lose. He explained the rest without a shred of diplomacy, saying that when he signed his factory contract, the only thing he ever wanted was a bike to win the championship, and that it was clear this bike had not arrived. 6 years of investment, and the only thanks was half a line about experience gained. So here is the flip. People heard a young rider confessing that he is alone in a hostile sport, and that is not what happened. Acosta was not confessing. He was publishing terms, in public, in his own words, before he has even walked through the door in Bologna. This was never about the paddock. It was about one garage he does not occupy yet. And that changes what the Ducati pairing actually is. It was sold to us as a passing of the torch, the reigning champion mentoring the sport's biggest talent. That framing died this week. You do not announce that you feel nothing for anyone, then reach for a teammate feud that only ended when a career did. Then describe your new teammate as a man in his final phase, unless you have already decided what the relationship is going to be. And Marc Marquez has spent his entire career as the reference point inside every garage he has entered. Nothing about the second half of that career suggests he plans to hand the room to a younger rider who has publicly removed the one thing that usually slows a teammate down: guilt. Acosta stripped it out on purpose and told the world he feels better without it. So no, this is not loneliness. Loneliness happens to you. What Acosta described is something he built, maintained, and is now carrying into the most watched garage in motorcycle racing, and he handed out the operating manual before the era has even started. The only question left is whether Ducati understood what they were signing, or whether they heard a lonely kid and smiled. The question was never whether Pedro Acosta has friends in this paddock. It is whether the man about to share his garage understood that the sentence had an address on it. So what do you think? Is Acosta warning Marc Marquez or protecting himself? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.